Okay, so let's get going. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along today and joining us. So I'm Alison from IHWO, who part of my role as the Digital Content and Communications Officer is everything that involves social media. And it's something that is growing and growing, and we're seeing lots and lots more interest from schools all around the network who are wanting to improve the use of it. So the idea behind this webinar was to give us all a chance to get together and talk a bit about what's going on in the network at the moment, and share ideas and hopefully go onwards and upwards like that. So I just wanted to start off with a little roundup of what IHWO does in terms of social media, which hopefully I think everyone here should be more or less familiar with, but we'll just have a little recap. So these are the profiles that are active with IH at the moment: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and a Pinterest page. So I hope you're all familiar at least with the Facebook and Twitter, because those are the ones that we use a lot. And if not, make a note of those. Well, these slides will be sharing them afterwards. Make sure you're following us. This is just to give you an idea of what you can expect from us, from IHWO, in terms of our actual activity on social media. I just wanted to explain the approach that we're using at the moment. So the way that we're operating is sort of two-pronged, the way I see it. Partially trying to provide original content from International House, branded from International House, to allow all the schools to as much as I can and keep an eye out for interesting things and share them, so that then that gets spread further amongst the network. So Facebook and Twitter, I'm trying to use them every day, and sometimes scheduling things for the weekend as well. So that's a mixture of all that kind of content that I was just talking about, some of it created by us, some of it from other schools being shared, some of it just from online, and it's in general pretty informal tone, quite lots of news, things that are fun, thought-provoking, anything to do with language learning, and things that we think that people will like to share, that your students might like to see, so to try and create some engagement there. In terms of YouTube, that's one that we're going to start using a lot more in the coming weeks and months. At the moment, we're going to be using it weekly, and that's original content, video clips that we've been creating. So hopefully things that are useful and informative to people. In terms of LinkedIn and Pinterest, they're a little bit less frequent at the moment. LinkedIn tends to be more news and sort of academic, sometimes promotional in terms of events and things. and Pinterest is gathering together different things from schools and the web and group them onto themed boards. So starting to use those a bit more as well. In terms of the resources that IH are trying to make available to you guys, hopefully you're all aware, well, I think you should be, because this is how you heard about the webinar in the first place, is the newsletter that we're doing about every 2 months. Got several ongoing campaigns like the School of the Week, which has proved really popular. I'm going to say right now I need more profiles from everybody. I've actually sort of run out of new ones. So that's why they've been a bit less frequent recently. So if anyone out there hasn't had a school, a new thing coming up you might have seen started last week was the teachers' video tips for students. That's going to be a weekly resource. On the affiliates area, on the IHWO website, you can go back and look through all the previous newsletters. There's also social media guidelines, the social media address book, and the content calendar that I've mentioned here as well. They're all available on the affiliates area. So, for example, the social media address book is a really good tool to be able to figure out all the other all the profiles of the schools that are out there, and make sure you're following each other. Use the content calendar to tell me about your events and tell other schools about your events and things that are going on with your schools. I think if there's just one thing that I want to say about social media and this whole, and us as IH, is to really make use of this network. We're lucky to have lots of schools doing lots of really fun, exciting things, and I think really just I would encourage you all to follow each other, share each other's things that you're doing, like all of those things. So that's sort of my plug for the IH network. I see guys but maybe you're thinking of you want to join a new platform, you want to add more accounts to what you currently have. So it's just going to be looking at that basically. I don't know if it'll actually last the full 15 minutes because I have a habit of speaking quite fast. So there'll be lots of times for question and answer at the end, should you have any questions. But to begin with, when you're choosing your platforms, there's so many nowadays. I mean, just in the chat box, could you guys say what platforms you currently use and are there ones you're currently thinking of? For example, here in Santander, we have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. There used to be a blog back in the day, but the teacher that ran it, she stopped using it and the others didn't know about it. So we use those three. And to be fair, Facebook and Twitter are probably the more frequent ones because what we have on Facebook is linked to our Twitter, so it makes my life a lot easier. Instagram, I would like to use more of, but like Alison was saying, sometimes it's finding the content or it's also getting the permissions because obviously Instagram is all about photos, and if you want to be taking photos of students, we need the permission. Pinterest is a good one, and I'm actually interested to find out how many schools use it and how they use it, because it's something that I've been toying with for quite a while. I mean, I use it personally, and I'm always posting like cat pictures and recipes and stuff like that, but it's not really relevant for the English language teaching, I don't. So, yeah, there's so many platforms, and really, I mean, the questions are, how do you choose? And I don't think there's one real answer. What you're familiar with, for example, if you're the social media manager or you're controlling the social media, I wouldn't necessarily choose Pinterest if you've never used it before. You look at it, play with it in your own personal, or like have a non-professional account to begin with to make sure you're comfortable with it. And okay, my cats do speak English, so yeah, they would be learning English, David. So yeah, thanks for that one. But I mean, there's lots of things to think about when choosing a platform. And also, how many do you want? Do you want to be on every single platform and have 3 followers on each? Or would it be better to maybe stick to 1 or 2 and really consolidate your followers? And actually, Tom raises a good point about Google Plus, because I think people have a love-hate relationship with Google Plus. I personally use it quite a lot personally, but not so much professionally. And again, it's like, and this is what we're going to come to in the next slide actually, is what should you bear in mind? Because I think really there are 3 main things we should bear in mind when choosing a platform. Geography, for example, where in the world are you? Some countries don't have access to some of these platforms. Some countries, the demographic in that country, they prefer different things.
we got a few likes every so often, but it wasn't really popular. So I did like an ad campaign and I put posters in all the classrooms, but still we weren't really getting that many likes. So then I had to go into the classrooms to talk to the students. So I thought, well, I'll take the opportunity and actually ask them, do they know about our social media? And basically every class said no. And I was like, well, haven't you seen the posters around? Was their answer. So I was like, well, in what social media do you use? Thinking that they'll say Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Pretty much none of our teenagers, anyone under 20 something, uses Facebook. I don't know if it's a Santander thing, I don't know if it's a Spain thing, but it enabled me to go to my boss and say, look, we've got this Facebook account, you're actually pumping money into it, and none of our students are on Facebook. Surely we should now be venturing out into Twitter and things like an Instagram. And the fact that I had this concrete proof meant that we could then open up a Twitter account. It's linked to our Facebook accounts. I don't have to put extra information. Whatever I post on Facebook goes to Twitter. But it's useful to bear in mind your target audience. Who are they and what do they use? Just because you're comfortable with Facebook doesn't mean you should not look at other platforms, because teenagers, it's the older generations who are more active on Facebook. I get more interaction from my students' parents on our Facebook page than I do the actual students, which is great because they're the ones who are paying for their kids to come and learn English with us. But if we want to appeal to our students, we need to be on the platforms that they're using. And also your teachers. That's a really bad cartoon of teachers. People have like students so they're promoting your social media, and they'll be the ones talking about it. if your teachers don't know or don't use or aren't familiar with the platforms, how can they promote it? Because it's much more, it's much more authentic if the person's telling you about, oh, we've got this amazing competition going on Facebook, as opposed to being like, well, that Facebook thing that people sometimes use, we're doing something on it. So if your teachers aren't familiar with it, it's never going to be sold as well. So talk to your teachers, or get the DOS to talk to teachers, whoever's in charge of it, so they can be familiar with it. I'm not saying your teachers have to open up a Facebook account or open up a Twitter account, because that's their own personal preference. But if they can still log on, because you can see the public page, you don't have to have with what's going on, it'll make your life easier because they can promote it to the students in a much more natural and authentic way. So, I don't think there's one key way to choose a platform, and I'm sure you guys have all got very different reasons as to why you chose what you chose, because everyone does it because you like it, whatever. But really, I would say choose the ones that suit your target audience, suit your geography, and that you're comfortable with. And then, we need to start thinking about what we're putting on these pages. And you can see that, geography and demographic, I think, are very key both for choosing your content and for choosing the platform. But in terms of how geography has a bearing on what content you use, what language are you going to use? We traditionally speak English or teach English, but who are you aiming it at? Are you aiming it at current students? Are you aiming it at future students? Is it the parents of the students? Is it the bosses of the students? All of that will have a bearing on what language you use. I would say here in Santander, like 90% of our content is in English, but we do have things in Spanish. Sometimes because it's an interesting article, it's talking about Santander and how beautiful it is when it's not raining. Other times it's, maybe things for people who want to learn Spanish, because we do have people who come here to learn Spanish. But yeah, I would think, what language do you want to include? And also, what do people like? Are you posting things that you like, or are you posting things that you think your students will like? And I think that's a very important distinction to make, because if I wanted to post all the things that I like, it would probably all be which kind of makes me sound very boring. But I'm sure most of my students wouldn't be interested in that at all. But how do you find out what they like? And this is where your students and your teachers come into play, because I'm guessing the majority of you might not have direct contact with the students all the time, so you're going to have to rely on the teachers. We've also got IH. Alison was talking about that and saying, IH is always stuff going on. So is there a competition that IH is running at the moment? Is there a particular promotion? So all these types of things are things to bear in mind. And the more I talk, it's kind of like there's so many things to think about. How on earth can you choose? So what I would recommend is finding ways to find content so it isn't very time consuming. Once you've narrowed down your target audience and what you're looking at, are you looking to recruit students? Are you looking to maintain the students you currently have? Or maybe you want to do a mixture of both, but kind of have a strategy. On this day, maybe on Mondays we're going to do this, and Tuesdays we're going to do that. It doesn't have to be so military and so ordained. It could just be that you find something and you like it. But where do you find this stuff? And this is actually what I'm going to ask you guys as well. Where do you find your content? Because I find a lot of my content from other IH schools. Part of my job, which I love, is sitting on Facebook and reading articles and finding things that I can share. So it's other IH schools on Facebook, other IH schools on Twitter, other schools in general. There's lots of material out there, but it's a case of, does anyone have any good tips of, oh, you should follow this page? For example, Grammarly have some really funny cartoons sometimes, but if I'm only posting cartoons, I mean, my students can just go and like that page as well. But, where do you find your material? Pinterest, where people have been talking about, there's lots of material on there. Is it appropriate? I find lots of stuff, but maybe it's not appropriate for the age group I'm looking at, or I don't think it's appropriate for English language learners as opposed to kids who study maths, for example. And your students themselves, I mean, they could be talking about something interesting. Maybe it's stuff they've done in class. I know Glenn's going to talk about it, so I don't talk too much about it. But if your students are doing, they've got an interesting project going on, or there's posters, take pictures of it. I mean, maybe you can't take pictures of students due to permissions and stuff. You can still take pictures of their work. And that in itself, I think that's a lot more appealing, especially for the students and the parents, if they can see their own work being shared, and then, they make a poster which is liked by a school in Poland or is liked by a school in Argentina. It gives them a sense of achievement as well. But how do you know what they're doing in class? If you don't have direct contact with the teachers, or if the teachers don't talk to you, you don't know what's going on. So, there needs to be some clear dialogue between yourselves as the social media people and the teachers. Whether it's you're their boss, so you can just talk to them in the meetings, or whether it's you want to actually go and talk to them directly. But I think the teachers and students are such a rich source of material that we probably don't always appreciate it, or we just overlook it because we think, oh, we have to take a photo of it, and we have to upload it, and maybe it means changing Facebook accounts, or we have to upload the picture, and blah, blah, blah. There's so many easy ways to do it now. It's just a case of knowing what's going on and knowing how you want to share it. So I don't know. I mean, where do you guys get your material from? I can see in the video that you're sharing content from schools and also blog. But I mean, where do you come up with the material? That's my question to you guys right now. Do you have somewhere that you always go to? Because seriously, I'm looking for inspiration right now. I can see you're all typing, so I'll wait and see what comes up. Okay. I mean, yeah, I tend to do lots of things like Anna's saying, it's things that pop up in my timeline. And obviously, the more schools you like and the more contacts you have, the more you've got to share. And also, yeah, things which are happening. I'm always very wary, though, does it get too political, or, do people want to know what's happening? But yeah, and then you have the things like 9gag, which, yeah, they're funny, but are they all appropriate? Okay, so I think auto production is great, but I don't think, maybe not every school can actually have the resources or have the manpower to make things. I mean, I've seen some schools that do great things. I think, is it Kiev or Minsk? One of the schools in, I think it's Minsk, they had lots of own branded idioms and phrases, which is brilliant, but I don't have the time to do that. So I mean, what's not, I'm going to share theirs, which obviously is great for them because they're getting more exposure. So I think that's the thing, is if we know that there are certain schools who are doing these types of campaigns and we can share it, that'll be brilliant because, at the end of the day, we've all got busy lives, and basically sharing things. And yeah, sometimes, like Sally's saying, tourist articles, I think that's great because you're publicizing the town, the area, and they get to practice English. So really, I mean, just following on from this, one tip that I would offer, and that's talk. I mean, for example, in the chat box, you guys are sharing lots of information. And this is the thing, if we can talk to each other, we've got the list of all the addresses that Alison gave us. Talking to people, talk to ourselves, talk to each other, talk to your students, talk to your teachers, talk to the parents, talk to everyone to find out what people want, what's going on, and just share. Talking and sharing, I think, really is the best way to publicize your social media, to make sure that everyone knows about it. And just before I go, a very shameless plug. Year before last, I wrote an article in the journal based on this type of thing. So if you're bored one day and you have a cup of coffee, log on and have a check out of my article. It basically talks about lots of things we're talking about today, but it makes me sound good. So that's pretty much it from me. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I know we've got plenty of time for questions. Well, no, we've got plenty of time, but we have time for questions. So any questions, stick them in the chat box. So thank you. Okay, so Anna's there talking about the Facebook Insights. Oh yeah, I'll just go back to the last slide. I do check Facebook Insights, but I have to be fair, not that often. It does depend on how much time I have. I think it's going to be a common thread. But what I find most interesting about the insights is actually the time of day that you get more likes if you post things at certain times. And that's something that I am trying to work more with. And I think if I remember the last time I checked, our most popular posts were around 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., which works great for me because when I come into work, it's when I'm having lunch. So, I can take some time. But does anyone else here use the Facebook Insights? Both Stavropol and David and Quimber are talking about who has access to it. For example, in my school, I'm the DOS and I do the social media. In my previous school, I started out as was a social media person and then I moved up. So we find, in terms of, I find it easy with DOS because we're quite a small school and I tend to know what's going on both in the classroom and in the admin side. But I think in bigger schools,
thank you very much.
It doesn't always work. For example,
Yeah, I
Carol,
think we
who's
might
also
move
in
on to
Portugal,
the next
talking
guys.
about
Thank you
small team
very
with
much,
access.
Emma. That was awesome and really
I think
interesting to see
sometimes
the
if you have
discussion
too
going
many
on
people to
in
it,
the
it can
chat
get
box as well,
confusing
and
because
learning how different
who's going
schools
to
are
post
doing
what,
things.
and everyone has different ideas and different
So, thank you,
visions of
Emma.
where they want to go. So I
Next
think
up,
everyone
we've
needs to be
got
on the
Jen
same
and
page,
Mila, who are in
definitely.
IH Cordoba. So I'll just set up their slides. They're going to be talking to us about using blogs. So bear with me. Hello. Oh. Hi. Can everyone, oh, thanks, Emma, that's really interesting. Can everyone hear us okay? Yeah. Okay, great. I'm here with Mila, and what we're going to talk about today is our blog. And if you see on the first slide, it's come from the study centre. So what we have here, this sort of started off as we have a study centre, which is it was an original library. It started off as. So here, for example, we've got, let me show you, this is our library card that we give to students. We in contact with students and the parents, and we would advise them what extra materials, and they would borrow materials. And so it became a natural step to take that to a virtual kind of resource. So it became like a virtual, we thought we'd use a blog as a medium to kind of like post information to share with the parents, with the students in a similar way. So here we've got the card, and you'll see here on the back of that, we've got a QR code there, which takes us to the social network sites. I think this is to the Facebook page. The other thing that we felt is that sometimes Emma was talking, you've been talking in the chat on the side about how to compile the materials that are generated, and that we felt that teachers, it would be easier to do it through a blog, because it was very simple for them. Teachers can tweet things, we can then put it on the blog, and then Juan, who is in charge of the bigger social networks, he can then choose what he wants to then put onto Facebook or to Twitter. So it becomes like an umbrella effect. So the teachers can send it to us, and then Juan, we can choose and then post, and then Juan then chooses. So it becomes like a filter of different people adding things. And what Mila, we're going to show you some slides of things that the kind of material our blog. By Mila. And so it's kind of like the librarians, virtual librarians, and the teachers can then pass on material to them, and they're sort of virtual curators. So Mila, I'm going to pass you over to Mila, we're going to try and speak a sort of Spanish, English together, is what we're going to do, because she's like that, so she needs to be here with Lupe, but I'm sort of going to help.
Okay. So I'm so sorry about my English. So please, I can't, I got it, okay, no one. I want to talk about the blog. The blog was the idea of have a new type of library that will be virtual because not always our students could maybe have work or maybe exam they can they can take sorry they can come to our library and take material away and they need to practice maybe English, French or German and the virtual library could give this possibility. So we try to always create new material and the idea was to have um, website, apps, podcasts, and good resources for our students. So we try to do the best that we can. And our blog have different sections. We have one for general information. For example, you can see here some activity extras that we can do, like baby music. Also, we have competition in the school, like the one we make in the study center. And also, we have general information about, for example, the enrollment for grade for Cambridge exams or when they have mock exams. So always students, parents, and teachers can find general information about our school in the blog. Each entry you can share in Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. And Study Center also have different accounts in social media. We have a Twitter account and also two Pinterest for our students, one for English and other for French and German students, and also the blog. Um, I would like to talk about, for example, other section will be recipes. So we try recipes, sorry. sorry. So we try to find different recipes. So we try to find in different languages, for example, for English students, French and German, as you can see.
Because we teach.
We
teach
have
all those languages.
All this language in the school. So we try to find material for each student, not only for English or French or German. We try to do, how you say, parcial, one, equal, maybe.
Make the languages equal.
Equal. We have also other sections like website, we try to find a better, nosotros intentamos mostrar siempre los mejores recursos para ello en cada una de esas secciones.
We try to select. Be selective. Make a selective thing of the best.
And we always have the help of our teachers that bring us some useful articles or apps or Also, they do in class, for example, like you can see in the slide, you can see an activity that Jennifer did with Alex did with her class, and they create a person using a potato. This is a good idea because parents and students could see the activities that you can do in class. So it's a is the best tool to parents and students and teachers sharing what they are doing in the school in the hour of the class. No?
Can I just point out a couple of things about the image that we've just that you've seen. This is the kind of material that I think really we should be including, because it's a way of connecting the children to and the teachers and the parents we've called this section window, it's in Spanish, window on the class. So the idea is that the parents get like a virtual window through our blog to see the materials that are being created. And so it's very easy for the teacher. We do this on, if you see on the right of that picture, actually, there's some Father's Day cards that all you do is you just take a photo and then upload it to Mila or through Twitter, and then Mila will then pick it up and post it on the blog. And what we have is we're beginning to get a certain formula, which is class 5:30, Jennifer, potato people, or something like that. So the formula is repetitive for ease. The other thing that I want to point out here is you will not see any photos of the children's faces. And the children are now used to standing back and let us photo the materials and not them, precisely because I think it creates more imagination in the teachers as well, to be honest. Because we don't need to see the children's faces, and there's no point for e-safety reasons, basically.
So another activity that we must create for the blog is, for example, to make a video. You have an example with the Christmas card. The school always have a competition, so we take photos from this Christmas card and we ask permission to our teachers because we want to record students sing Christmas Carol. So from very young learners of Jennifer class until CP student, they sang a part of the Christmas Carol, and we make a video to say Merry Christmas to.
And it was a collaborative effort from different schools, from different classes working together, children, adults singing, then we had a mixture of pictures. So that's the kind of content. It's sort of collaborative and creative content is what we
I need to say this in Spanish, okay? La idea principal al crear el blog también es el poder crear un vínculo entre los alumnos, los profesores y lo que sería yo como bibliotecaria. Entonces, cada vez que se acerca una época, por ejemplo, San Valentín o el Día del Libro o la seguridad en Internet, nosotros siempre intentamos involucrar a las clases para que nos generen algo de material. Entonces, lo bueno es que siempre encontramos profesores, siempre encontramos profesores que colaboran con nosotros.
What Mila is saying is that it's very
Thank
we
you.
have here all the social network will be more, yeah, but those are the principles. So
Okay, thank you, Alison. Good afternoon, IH. How are you doing, everybody? Greetings from sunny Turin. Today we're going to talk about using the most obvious social media tool, Facebook, amongst International House. We've been using it for probably the last 5 years now. Started off quite small, and it's grown and grown and grown. The first question I have, well, actually, no, I wanted to start with, basically, Emma was talking about theory behind using social media, you know, why we should choose this platform and this platform. Today, I'm going to very much be showing you just practical ideas, ways that we've actually done in the past, just to show you. So it's just going to be lots of like slides of things we've done on Facebook already. And hopefully at the end, you can ask questions. You can also share your own ideas, because I think today is very much all about sharing ideas. So the first question I have, it's an obvious question, why Facebook? It was interesting what Emma said earlier today, was that the target audience in Santander, surprisingly, teenagers were not using Facebook. That surprised me, because here in Poland, and I would like to guess, you know, pretty much the whole of Central Europe, teenagers love to use Facebook. They're on Facebook all the time. And even some of our younger learners are on Facebook even when they shouldn't be, you know, the minimum age is 13. Hush. So it's interesting to say that, you know, in certain areas, Facebook is not as popular as in others. But guys, very quickly, the question is, why Facebook? Can some people answer in the box? Why do you think we should be focusing on Facebook, guys? Yeah, good point, Anthony. Thank you. It is indeed, yes, it is the biggest social media platform. Zillion users. Well, I'll just go through some of the facts that I have. Why Facebook? Well, I like to call it, it's the daddy of all social networking sites. And we actually, well, Facebook has 1.3 billion users, according to Wikipedia. So possibly even more than that. I like what you said earlier, zillion users. There's a lot of tools to use. You can add events, photos, videos, name it. I also mentioned poll. They used to have the option of putting polls and surveys. Unfortunately, now with the Facebook company page, they've now stopped that. But there's ways around that. You can use SurveyMonkey, for example. There are ways around it. Yes, absolutely, Zoe. It's free as well. It's free publicity, should we say. And you can use it for a number of ways. And this is what we're going to be looking at today. You can use it in class, put some student work up. You can use it to publicize information about your school. Also for marketing. We do our best to try to encourage getting new students into IHWO through Facebook. To a certain degree of success. I will show you some ways of how we've done that later today. Okay, and As we've mentioned already, there are absolutely loads of IH schools on the Facebook network. We are a network of 150 odd schools around the world, and I think it's very important to try to work together and network together. And Facebook is the easiest way to do that. As some of you probably know, I've liked absolutely loads of IH schools. I'm obsessed with liking IH schools, and all the time now I'm getting news from different IH schools around the network. But that's also really cool because you just learn. You learn to see, what other people are doing, and dare I say, you steal ideas. But that's all part of the process. Okay, moving on then. So what I would like to do today, this isn't just a screenshot of our very own Facebook page a day or two ago. As you can see, we have 1,007 likes, which I'm quite proud of because we are quite a small school. But if you go to another school like IH Newcastle, you've got thousands of likes. But yeah, we're proud of that. We just reached our 1,000 milestone a few days ago. So this is what our page looks like. You keep with the simple sort of the IH logo on the left-hand side. And what we do, we change our cover page at the top periodically. At the moment, we're advertising our teacher training day, which is happening next month. But yeah, it changes, so it's not just the same static picture. Okay, so let's just show you some examples of the stuff we've done. Okay, the different ways we've used Facebook for our school. Firstly, and I think this is probably the most obvious way, is to promote our school events and projects, either things that are about to happen in the future or things that have just happened in the past. So here's a slide of a video from our treasure hunt that we had last year in summer. Okay, it was one of our teachers, Emma, dressed up as Sleeping Beauty in the ruins of the castle in Torrent, and that's just a nice thing to show what our school has been doing. Okay, you probably recognise the person on the right-hand side. It's Mr. Anthony Ash, who's also joining us today. Hello, Anthony. This is a picture of our postcard project that we've been doing with other schools around the IH network. And also here's, hello, Anthony. And here's a slide of a TV series that we did a few years ago, and we were posting the link to the actual clips. This was a few years ago when we had the Irish football fans descend on Turin, and we created a short series of TV shows to help teach Polish people just basic conversational language to chat with the Irish football fans. Yes, Anthony, thank you. It was an amazing project. It still is an amazing project. We're still continuing our postcards. We've got about 6 different schools at the moment we're working with. Okay, the next step, information about the school. For example, things like our exam clubs. It's that time of year now, exams are happening, so we just post up information about when the next exam clubs are happening so all the students can see. This also saves out the timetables for everybody. We also have a ranking scheme, it's called the point slider scheme, where after every 20 lessons we compare how many points each class has, and then we award them with pizza. And so what we do, we post our ranking on the Facebook page so all our students can see where they are in terms of their class, and hopefully this would motivate them, especially if you're 4K1. You can see it has 1,775 points, maybe not so much if you're 4K2. Okay, it's also a good tool to actually show off some of our students' classwork. It's a great honor for students to have their work displayed on Facebook. They're very proud of that. Of course, we do, teachers do get permission from the students beforehand. We ask them because sometimes, they might have produced something amazing, but they're not necessarily wanting to show off to everybody. So here are some examples. This is an example of one of our FC students who created it was actually a review about a computer game with some beautiful illustrations. I felt it was absolutely fantastic, not just about the pictures, but the language itself was amazing. So I asked her if it was okay to put it on Facebook, and she was absolutely happy with that. One of our teachers, Sean Turner, who has experience of teaching young learners, he last year also did a blog with some of his pre-intermediate young learners, very similar to what you guys were talking about earlier, Jennifer. And we then have a link to the blog from the Facebook page so everybody can see it. And another plug for Anthony Ash. Anthony, do you remember last year when you were teaching your CAE class in Wrocław, and you got them to produce some beautiful poetry, and we actually put the pictures together and we displayed this work on Facebook. So again, very proud of what our students achieve, and we like to show it off to our, to other people, of course. Okay, so other uses in class. I've given you some examples. Guys, can you think of any other examples just off the top of your head, other things we can actually incorporate Facebook in classrooms? Over to you guys. So you're typing away. Yeah, using Facebook in class. Yeah, good idea, David. Definitely. So getting them to look at it for home, yes. I think one good idea, guys, is to try to encourage students to use your Facebook page by actually putting stuff on the Facebook page and getting them to maybe look for it, during homework. I mean, I've got some ideas here myself. For example, you can post up actually a story writing competition, very much would in the FC style, a magazine article, you have to write some story or something, and you post it up on Facebook, and you get all your students to actually enter your Facebook page and enter the competition for real, and then obviously you can award a prize for the best submission. Another idea is to, and you know how we do like at the beginning of the year, you get your students to look through course books and have like a sort of a course book quiz. You can very much do that about your Facebook page. This way, it will encourage your students to be aware of your Facebook page and get them to have a look at it in detail. So for homework, you could get them to go home, have a look at your Facebook page and quiz them on the content. And as I mentioned earlier, we can also put polls, through SurveyMonkey. This was a suggestion by one of my other teachers, Grania Casey. We can ask students questions about feedback, about the school, about the lessons. We can also put needs analysis questions up there, suggestions about improving the school. So there's lots of things you can do through Facebook. Okay. So we've talked about information, about project work, about just the things we've done in the past. Also, another great tool, and this is what IHWO is doing, by creating their own language posters, is very much we can use Facebook to help teach our students. We're very much obviously, our focus is to teach English. So let's have some sort of language input on Facebook. So here are some examples of stuff we've done. Some of you might remember our panda, Colin. Colin is a mascot in our very young learner classes, and Colin's been very privileged. He's traveled around the world. He's recently just been to New Zealand and Japan, and we used him in the past last year to basically do the Where's Colin campaign, focusing on things like prepositions. And we posted it on Facebook as well. So it was a good way for students to practice their English. Here's some other examples of Where's Colin. This one was taken in Dubai. Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm showing off where I've been. Or should I say where Colin's been? and another example. A few years ago, some of our teachers also used the website Toondoo combined with Jing, and they created what we call interactive lessons. So they had this, I mean, this is actually a static image, but it was actually a film, and you press play, you watch the comic book, and the actual story was narrated by one of our teachers. And then at the end, the language from the story, for example, funny, vain, optimistic, was extracted, and the students had to match the words with the definitions. So we had that on Facebook as well. It still is on Facebook, and it was very successful. The only thing against it was obviously it's quite time consuming for the teachers to prepare this work to this standard. Here's another example of an interactive lesson created by one of our former teachers, Kev Harrison, and this one was focusing on teaching idioms, for example, to hit the nail on the head, and we had this on Facebook as well. Also, this is in Polish, but we have on our Facebook page film trailers where, for example, this is one for Toy Story 3, and students will click on the link, they will actually get to see the trailer, the film trailer, and it's very much like an interactive dictogloss that they can do home. They listen to the trailer, and then they have to write in the box what the script was, okay? We've also used this in class as well. So this is on our Facebook page, and we then incorporate it into the lesson as well. Finally, in terms of teaching English, a couple of years ago we had a project where it was called Juicy English, and every day we posted a word. This was a sophisticated word which we felt students could learn or should learn, and these words were extracted from real authentic words, and we had them posted every day on our Facebook page. Okay, I mentioned earlier how Facebook could be used for publicity and how we can try to encourage other students into the school. One way we did last year was the Caption My English competition. We put a picture of our teachers, there's myself, Sean and Emma, and we put this out there, this competition, and other people, not just our school students, but other students, and other people around, locally, could come up with a good caption with what we were saying, and basically the would have get a prize. Here's another picture of Richard and Shona Lacey. And the winner then got a prize, for example, a free lesson, but it could be whatever prize you want to get. Here's a picture of one of our competition winners a couple of years ago. Another thing we're very active with at IHWO is we go into public state schools, and this is us in one of the schools last year, and we do a 45-minute lesson, and this is where there are pictures taken during the lesson, and then we post them up on Facebook. Obviously, you've got to be very careful with taking pictures of minors. Here in Poland, it's not as strict as it is, let's say, in Britain, although I do know now that IHWO will be changing their child protection policies, so this may change. But one way of marketing this was that the students would then go onto Facebook and they would like our Facebook page and, hopefully, get to like our school. Okay, and we've also got loads of video links as well. I think videos are great. This is a clip of some of our younger learners singing If You Are Happy. And it's not just about us, but we also like to share, as I mentioned earlier, we like to share other IH schools videos. I don't know if you're still there from IH Cape Town, but recently they posted this amazing flash mob of their students dancing through the streets and eventually into the school itself. And this is actually on their Facebook page, and we're sharing it as well. And also we share a lot of stuff from IH World. This is Alice Lloyd from IH Moscow, and this is the new teacher campaign where basically a teacher from from the IH organization will give a 2-minute tip. This is something that Alison is organizing. Okay, the last point I want to mention, so there's basically lots of the things we've been doing at IH Torin. One tip I have is you don't really need to pay a full-time person to manage your page. I know some schools are like, well, it's so much to do. Well, don't pay somebody. I mean, you can't really afford to pay somebody, but the key is you can select one person actually
I'll just come back in here. Yes, I will share the slides, and I'll share the
it's always a good
recording
idea to
of the
choose your
webinar
senior staff to have
with
the
everyone
admin
and with
roles.
the rest of the
So for
schools
example,
who
here in IH
maybe on
Torin,
different time zones
the
weren't
3
able to
directors,
make it.
including myself, have admin rights, plus also the senior teacher.
Sorry.
And we're very much, we're allowed to get on with what we want to do. But if you're in a bigger school, you could also offer it to some of the teachers as well, and give specific areas of responsibility. For example, one person could just focus on the marketing aspect, one person could be focusing on the classwork, and so forth. Okay, well, hopefully that's been quite useful for you, just giving you an example of some of the stuff we've been doing with Facebook. In a minute, I'm going to ask for some questions. I do have, like Emma, I have a shameless plug myself. Next month, we have the IH Tour and Teacher Training Day, which is happening on the 18th of April with Hugh Deller and also Kylie Malinowska, who's the IH World Young Learner Coordinator. If any of your teachers are interested, please contact me. It'd be great for you to come. We already have about 75 participants, so it's getting quite full. Okay, so enough about the plug. Do you guys have any questions when it comes to using Facebook? Over to you. Oh, great, Alison. So Ross is on, is it already posted, is it, Ross's video? Hopefully without the bloopers. Okay, good. Thanks, Alison, the clean version. I will tell Ross. He'll be very happy. Thank you, Ben. Thanks, Vera. I hope these ideas were useful. Yeah, Alison, is it possible to send these slides? Right. Okay. Any more questions? Not so many questions. Okay, there's a question, Fernando. about promoting the Facebook page. Yeah, I mean, obviously Facebook does have that option where you can pay and promote the page. We've done it a little bit, only a little bit. I'm not going to spend too much money promoting the page, but to be honest, we prefer to try to do it word of mouth because we're very much trying to target local audience. And if you're promoting the page, yes, you can try to specify the area, but at the end we get some, I don't know, some takeaway restaurant liking it. It's like, well,
Great.
is
I
there
think we
much of
might
a,
start
in a
wrapping
different
things up
country?
there. I'm just
So
gonna pop back on if it
I'm
works.
kind of against the promotion.
Yeah,
of paying to
shameless
promote.
plug away, everybody. We all encourage everybody to like each other, follow each other, get
Okay,
ideas from each other
good question,
on,
Marco.
on all the
Basically,
different
word of mouth. I mean, we've
social
got
media
all our
profiles.
students to
So thank you
like
so
our
much,
page.
everyone, for coming along and
This
joining today, and
caption
especially to Emma,
competition,
Jen,
well,
Mila, and Glenn
basically
for
this
sharing some
girl
fantastic ideas.
won because
Hope it's been useful for everyone, and hopefully we
winning the
can
caption
do this
competition
again
was
in
based
the
on the
next
number
little
of
while,
likes for her
and
caption
keep
and
sharing
also the
ideas
number of
that way
likes for
and
the
keep on
page.
improving. So I guess we'll wrap it up there. So thank you very much again to everybody, and I'll be in touch with everyone soon. Thank you. Bye.